You're watching Unrendered on IKTV. I'm Tony Regisford, and my guest is Glen Beache. He is the CEO of the Tourism Authority. Glen, just to stick with the cruise ship, just for another 2 minutes or so, something related to the cruise ships. I was noticing in the newspaper of today, Friday, when we were recording this program, you just recently concluded a set of training for taxi drivers, I think, mainly is what I saw.
Yeah.
So I didn't get a chance to read the article. What is this all about?
Basically, the taxi drivers are licensed now. We licensed 99 of them. I think it was on Wednesday.
So what do they have to do to get this license?
Well, they have to register with us,
Right.
and they have to go through training, customer service training,
Right.
CPR, and first aid
Okay.
training. After which time they think we pay for all of it right now as it stands. This bill was passed in Parliament last year, October. We wanted it to come into effect from November 1st last year. The government
Right.
decided to bring it into effect from November 1st this year. And then you have a 3-month grace period. So basically you have until January, the end of January, to become licensed. If you are not licensed, you will be charged.
So you cannot drive a taxi unless you are a licensed taxi driver.
You're not supposed to be, no.
Well, you shouldn't drive a taxi
Yeah.
unless you're a licensed
Hoteliers will not be using unlicensed taxi drivers.
And that is regardless of if the taxi is not plying the tourist route.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Taxi driver, period.
Period.
Now, I wonder, and I don't want to digress too much here, but I wonder when we're going to apply that to minivans.
I don't
Because
know.
tourists do take minivans.
They
you know.
do a lot. As a matter of fact, a lot of visitors actually love that part of
Right.
their vacation, traveling with locals, traveling with Vincentians, being it because you feel part of the, you feel the culture more.
But it's not just for the tourists alone, because everybody who travels in a taxi or a van wants to be safe. You know,
Oh,
you
it's
have
funny you said
yourself,
that
your
because,
children.
yeah.
You can't be doing things just for tourists.
Because in my
We have to
speech,
be doing it for ourselves as well.
In my speech, when we license them, I said this is not just about the visitor or the tourist. This is about the way you treat people in general, so the locals and everybody else. And I think I don't know how well it will go down with the minivan drivers. We put it in place, and I must give credit to the Taxi Drivers Association. They came on board. They had their issues. We discussed the issues with them. And that sort of thing, and they've been very supportive, and they agree with it.
Well, I think it's a model that may very well, or should very well be followed by the people who regulate, if there's any regulation at all, the minivan trade, because that is a vexing issue for me, personally.
I know quite a few parents who will not allow their children to take a
Yes.
minivan, and you can't blame some of them.
And I think
for it.
it's a retardant to progress, personally, because the transport sector is very important. Important for tourism, because tourists need to move from point A to B, especially your stayover visitors, people who kind of come the same divers you're talking about, the same romance
And
people
some of
you're
them don't
talking
want to
about.
take a taxi.
Right?
And it's important. And what is so important about it also is that, you know, taxi drivers, they have so much interaction with the visitor. Because let's say even if you're going from the airport to Mariners.
So they're ambassadors, basically.
They're ambassadors, basically. And, you know, as I told some of them sometimes when we're doing training, I said, listen, and people know where my support is, that you know, I'm a ULP supporter. I had to make it clear, this is not about
It's not
politics.
about politics.
I said, but when you start to speak badly about the country and the government or the opposition, I said it reflects badly on the country on a whole. And we must know when to speak certain things and who to speak it with. And so we have to be careful with these things.
So it's something tourists don't necessarily want to hear about.
No.
And then some of them may pry anyway. But let us look at, you look at all those products, right? You're talking about yachting, sailing, diving, romance. We touched a bit about on the ecotourism side of things. Where are your markets now for these things?
Trinidad, Barbados, United States.
So Trinidad and Barbados are like where the regional tourists come from.
Those are our big boys for the region.
Right.
United States and Canada and the United Kingdom. Two potential markets that we've been trying to get into. We've had to hold back on it a bit also, though, is also Italy and France. Because the potential there, especially from the yachting sector, is huge. But not only because it's the yachting sector, but in France and Italy, they take a lot of their vacation in the summer months, which is the off season.
You'll extend the tourist season.
I would like to get rid of the tourism season. That would be my ultimate aim. To get rid of the
365 days of
tourism, visitors coming in.
Right, so you want to be
I don't want mass tourism, you know.
Well, let's discuss that a bit, Glenn. What is your definition of mass tourism?
Mass tourism is an influx of visitors that we cannot handle properly. One of the things I tell people when I do interviews or when I'm speaking to a publication about what makes St. Vincent and the Grenadines so unique and what makes it, as you know, our tagline is St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the Caribbean you're looking for. Basically what we're saying, the Caribbean as it was 40, 50 years ago, simplified. Tallest building in Kingston was a 5-story building, which is a big thing. I don't want somebody from the United Kingdom coming to St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and when they look around, there's so many people from the United Kingdom, they feel as if they have not left their home. They don't feel as if they're on vacation. Yes, you'll see your mango trees, your coconut trees, and so on. But there's so many of your own people there, it doesn't give you that vacation feeling.
And to add insult to injury, you see a Boots drugstore, and you see a Marks and Spencer down the road.
Mickey D's.
And suddenly we're catering for the English, right, in a mass way. Right.
Yeah, so you know, it's all of that. One of the things I try and speak to the hoteliers and stakeholders about, I said, yeah, offer your hamburgers, offer foods, that, because kids, as you know, can be very finicky. So if you have fun, I say, but our local dishes are great. I say, offer that too. It's the experience, you know, experiencing our culture, experiencing what we have to offer.
Right. But how do you get this message, Glenn, to resonate with all the players in the tourism industry? Not necessarily the people who work in the tourism authority, but people who are ultimately responsible one way or the other.
You mean all Vincentians?
Well, all Vincentians, but let's funnel it down to organizations like even Invest SVG, that I have a role to play there. When they go out looking for investors, do they know what the product is that the tourism authority wants to drive? I mean, I'm saying these are the things where you need to have coherence. And
it's probably, I mean, we've spoken to a lot of these organizations, Hotel and Tourism Association, Invest SVG. But I think one of the things we probably need to look at and probably go in more depth with is basically telling people what the product is, giving them a training session. This is what our product is like. All of my staff in the Tourism Authority, we have a publication due 32. They need to know everything that's in there.
Has the political administrators bought into it as well? Because there's that other level where you've got Prime Minister and Minister of Tourism and Cabinet, generally speaking. And is everybody on one page in terms of the tourism product that we've defined for St. Vincent and the Grenadines?
They know it, and I think they understand it. But I think more can be done for it. And don't get me wrong, we've received a lot of support from government. We've received a lot of support from the ministry and the Minister of Tourism and the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister always makes it clear that tourism is one of his babies. It's two of the main ministries he looks at is agriculture and tourism because of the revenue it brings in. But like every other ministry and every other sector, I want more money to do my job. You know, we want to put St. Vincent and the Grenadines out there more. But when you compare St. Vincent and the Grenadines to Barbados, which I don't like to do because two different markets and of course different countries have different things going for them. Our budget is rather small compared to theirs. I mean, our budget is approximately 13 million EC. Barbados' budget is 50 million US. I mean, that's a huge difference.
But there's the chicken and egg situation. I'm sure it wasn't always a massive sum.
It wasn't.
But as it grew, they plowed more money back into it.
And as you saw revenue and visitor expenditure go up, obviously. And that's why I make it. And I say, you know, one of the things people don't realize, and I make this clear, and I guess I'm going back to my ministerial days, running government and running the country is no different to you managing your household. Sometimes you might have a rough month, Tony, and you have to decide, what are you going to do without? Can I afford to leave the electricity bill for another 2 weeks or something? And it's no different. I mean, from a tourism aspect, we're going up against education.
Right.
We're going up against agriculture. We're going up against health. So that's me and my own household battling
And
each
the sky
other.
is not the limit as
and
far
the
as
sky
the
is not the limit.
budget is concerned.
You know, so and certain things we'll give leeway to. I mean, if you're going to ask me if I prefer $1 million to do some marketing, or I prefer $1 million to go to the Ministry of Health to get medication and so on, of course I'm going to choose the Ministry of Health.
Right.
But, you know, I think it's
But
a
then-
balancing
But
act.
then, if tourism is the long-term answer to get the Ministry of Health the budget that they want, then sometimes you got to take the sacrifice
Right.
up front.
And the government will
Yes.
decide what their priorities are and how they go about it.
Getting back to the product and how we keep the product to what we want, do you think that we have the discipline, given the economic situation in St. Vincent and the Grenadines? Somebody comes in and brings a sort of mass tourism product, or a product that feeds mass tourism, but he wants to build a 600-bedroom hotel
600 rooms.
on a beach in Union Island or whatever, and they check out, okay, you know, you do the due diligence and all that. Are we going to tell that person, no, this is not what we want?
You see, the thing
Or are
is,
we going to be so anxious to get this thing going that we're going
I'd
to
be
say,
anxious to get it.
You know what, let's go.
I'd be anxious to
But
get
it's not
it.
going to be short-sighted, though.
Not going to be short-sighted, because guess what? We're not going to hit mass tourism until our room stock goes up considerably. My ideal situation for St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and some people might say I'm selfish, I would like there to be a waiting list for people wanting to come to St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Well, it keeps the product in
it
demand.
keeps the product in demand.
Yeah.
Right now, we're at approximately 1,900, 2,000 rooms. I would like to see us get to anywhere 3,000, 3,500, the most 4,000 rooms. Beyond that, I think we're overdoing it. And I think that's the way you control your tourism. So even if it's a 600-room hotel, it's not that bad. But there are obviously 600 rooms is a lot. So you have to be able to run that efficiently and effectively. So 600 rooms, I'm not going to go with. But the environmental study, they check out properly, as you said. There are a lot of things that are gonna go into that. But I think what we need to do is control our destiny. Listen, mass tourism is not for St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and we don't have, unless you're going into the inland of St. Vincent itself, you're not going to get those sort of rooms coming in, because I doubt that you're going to see anybody want to build more than a 600-room hotel in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. It's just carrying
That's
it
a fairly
about.
massive
That's a
hotel.
fairly massive hotel. So let's say Mountain Peters Hope, you get 400. Union Island, you get another 400. That takes you about to 2,800. You're still a good way off from that
But
3,500.
then you're going to get the boutique hotels.
But then you're going to get the boutique hotels, but the boutique hotels are going to come in at the most of 50 rooms.
Yeah.
Right? So we can control it. We have to control it, because our product needs to be fresh at all times. And that's one of the problems that some of our competition is going through. There's a reason why Barbados has made the move they're making in terms of dividing up the tourism authority into one arm is marketing and one just deals with product development, because Barbados' product has become tired, according to some people.
It's stale.
One of the other issues they're having is that of the rating system, which is what we're going to be going into for 2015, which we have to do. Because what is happening, people are saying, wait a minute, I'm paying $299 US a night for what you're saying is a 4-star hotel. That wasn't 4-star that I just stayed in. How can you, what justifications do you have for rating it as 4-star? So we're looking at that, we're speaking to the stakeholders. You have to look at the American
So you want to
system.
make sure you're offering the authentic products. If you tell somebody it's 4-star, it is authentically 4-star.
So I mean, the intricacies of the industry are huge, and we have to look at every part of it.
What about festivals?
What about them?
Well, this is something I know your minister is very hot on. 9 mornings, as we are into the 9 morning season, is one of those things. I recently interviewed Michael Peters and Lennox Bowman. They've been stalwarts in the 9 mornings committee. They brought the product back with Beache Alexander and some other people. And potentially, as a community-based type activity, it does offer something for the tourists to do, and it's a unique experience, I suppose.
And some people are going to get angry with me for what I'm about to say, Tony. I think 9 Mornings is a great product. I don't think it's as big a tourism product as people are making it out to be. I'll tell you why, and I'll give you my reason for this. Michael will tell you that 10,000 people come in for 9 Mornings.
That is more than Carnival, he says.
That's not the case. Because those 10,000 people that he's talking about, some of them are off the cruise ships.
Okay.
So, obviously that. 9 Mornings is a great local festival. I would say we have a lot of incentives that come in for the season. Some of them come in to make sure they catch some of 9 Mornings.
Yes.
But a lot of them come in because it's Christmas. It's time to be with your family and so on. I think 9 Mornings, you might have a few hundred that come in specially for 9 Mornings. But I'm not sure if it goes to the thousands like that. Because even from a tourism point of view, we've had many journalists and so on come in that we bring in around this time to look at St. Vincent and the Grenadines, do their feature stories. They'll go and they'll experience it one morning. And then even if we have on their program to do it 2 or 3 times, they say, no, we're good.
But I mean, maybe it's more a product that's geared towards the diaspora.
Exactly.
Right? So the diaspora, they've got a sense because it's part of your heritage, it's part of your culture.
Exactly.
Right? I mean, if it's not part of your culture, you're not going to get out of bed 4:30 in the morning.
But this is what I'm saying. And this is what I'm trying to, and I say, you know, I'm probably going to take a bit of licks for it. Well, how can you be CEO of Tourism Authority?
But it's still a product.
But it's a product.
It's a product that you use the diaspora as a market.
Yes.
You know, and they're tourists within their own right. They don't live here. They come.
No, and I've heard some Bajans, some Lucians, some Trinidadians say we want to come in and experience 9 Mornings, and that's great. But I don't think you can compare the numbers of 9 Mornings to that of Carnival.
Let's hold it there, Glenn. We're running over time on this 3rd segment, and we've got one more segment to do. I want to talk about this fella here. Yeah, I know it's your.
He's a lovely fella.
Yes,
she's a lovely woman.
Yes, but. Puts me straight to the Argyle International Airport, and I want to spend some time on that in the last segment.
Okay.
This is Unrendered on IKTV. My guest is Glen Beache, and he is the CEO of the Tourism Authority. We'll be into our last segment when we come back.